Hello, everybody, and welcome. If it sounds like I'm sick, well, I'm kind of am. Me and a buddy of mine have been passing a bug back and forth for the last couple weeks. Figured it was time for an update video. I haven't really done much on the layout because either I spend too much money on eBay or the weather's bad. But what I did do is after the last video, my cable came for the soundboard for the Scout Hudson, and as I feared, that didn't fix it. So here it is. I did go ahead and take the soundboard out of that and put in it, and it was a lot easier than I thought it would be. That one's only held on with 2 screws on the bottom, and of course you didn't do your wiring. Well, that one's only got 1 screw in the bottom, and it uses the actual frame as a heat sink. So you gotta apply a little bit of thermal paste on it, but whereas this one mounted like this and has this heat thing as a heat sink. That right there, I guess, is your logic chip or your CPU or whatever it is for this. But that has a little bit of thermal paste on it, and this is your heat sink. On those ones, focus. This actually mounts on like that, has a screw up to the bottom, and uses the actual frame as a heat sink. I think I just repeated myself. Sorry. But it's a pretty easy swap because of the way that mounts with a couple screws. There's already holes in the tender. So it swaps right in. There's like a little foam board to keep it level and all that, but there aren't any provisions on that board for like the backup light or the marker light on the tender. And that particular board doesn't seem to have a plug for the uncoupler. But it just might have a different plug, but it's on. I do have some big news for in here though. Although I haven't done anything for the layout, it is tax season. You'd think that I'd buy some big locomotive, and normally you'd be right, but I actually instead finally knocked out one of my shelves. Sorry, but yeah, I bribed a buddy in helping me stain that and mount it in here. That turned out to be a bigger chore than I thought because for somehow reason I forgot there was ductwork right in the middle of the way. So yeah, that turned into a bit of a mess. Trying to get that up in there without breaking anything. I did buy that MTH caboose to go with my F3s. And I'm already tired of messing with those. I'm going to buy another battery and swap into that, so they quit dying every time I kill the power. But if those ones die like my Scout Hudson, I'm done trying that. I'm not going to do that again. And the other big thing I bought in here was not big, but that caboose right there. I've really been wanting one of these in this scheme. Most of the ones I've seen are gray with the maroon stripe, but I really wanted one of these because here in Marion, Ohio, where I'm at the Marion Union Station, they keep one of these on permanent display. At Marion Union Station. I used to go and play with one of it as a kid. That was so I really wanted one of those cabooses just like that. I got one. Finally got one at HO. I think he's riding right back there. But yeah, that's the big news for in here. I'll take you in the other room real quick though. Got some HO sets on the board. This Overland Limited you've seen before is the same one that I got like a year or so ago that my little puppy, Shiba Inu puppy, Olivia, was watching. So I think this needs service. It's running a little rough, but it works for now. I think this is an older set, probably right after they went to the Easy Mate couplers, because all these cars have the glossy plastic finish. And I mean, they don't roll so smooth as newer cars. And behind there, you'll see I got the Rail Chief set. I've been wanting one of those sets since I got back in the hobby and buying HO again. But our local Hobby Lobby, that set is over $200. I think it was like $220 last time I looked. And I think they're $140 on Walmart's website. That one I bought used off of eBay without a box. It has everything, the instructions, and all the little doodads to go with it. Just no box for under $100. Not the deal of the century, but hey, I'm happy with it. The seller wrapped these really, really good. Too good, because a couple of the cars he wrapped them so tight that the little Easy Mate couplers been around on themselves and were basically ruined. So I had to replace those. This one was actually in pretty good shape, except for the truck on one of the trucks on that hopper are warped, and the one of the wheels keeps trying to fall out if it gets in the right position. I was going to swap it out with one of my extras, but the what do you call that? The where the truck screws in, the pivot point, I don't know, my brain's dead, is larger. So I think that supports maybe my theory of this being an older set, like maybe right when they switched to the Easy Mate, because the older trucks had that split pin, whatever, it just slot in a hole. I think that was larger for that or whatever. I could be talking out my butt. But the my finger's in the way. The Rail Chief set runs really, really good. For just a basic set, I'm really pleased with that. This set, back when I bought this, I threw the opening bid on it, and figured I wouldn't win it because I only threw the opening bid was only like $80. I think that's what I threw on it, and was immediately outbid like a day or two, not immediately, but a day or two into the auction I was outbid, which I figured was going to happen because I've seen these sets go for a lot. And so I figured that was done, and went and spent my money elsewhere on another train. And like 20 minutes before the auction ended, me and my buddy were out to dinner, and the bidder canceled his bid, and I won it for $80. And because I'd already spent my money, I had to like ramen noodle it for a couple weeks. But it was worth it because I've actually, back before I got out of trains, I think this set's old enough to where I remember seeing it in like Sears catalogs as a kid and drooling over it. So it's one I've wanted. It's not the smoothest runners, but I mean, this is a Bachmann starter set from a while ago, so I'm sure it's got some crappy little can motor in it trying to haul this big train. But the more I run it, the better it gets, but it does, I don't know if you can hear it make a squeak. I hope it doesn't have a cracked gear. I know the Northern, the daylights are based off the older daylights had a problem with cracking gears. I'm hoping That one don't. But another thing that surprised me is just how heavy those cars are. This whole train has a lot of weight to it. I've got O-scale sets that have less drag to it than this little HO set. But I've also haven't messed with this so long enough that I've had time to think about it and come out with some new ideas for what I want. And the basic idea I'm thinking is going to remain the same. I'm still going to build that back section and drag this out. But what I'm thinking is instead of going with a twin, ignore those on that side of the table, yeah, let me get my brain working again. Alright, I've had to restart this again because I keep bumbling over my words and coughing and everything, but the basic idea what I want to do is the same. What I think I mentioned in the last video is just build that section and bring that out. But what I want to do is go from a double track main to a single track with a couple passing sidings. And it's still going to be just a big loop, but over here I'm going to put a 4x4 section with a 2 foot by whatever section, and that's just going to, instead of being an oval, it's going to turn to a big L and just whoop around. And I'm going to put sidings right here and as many, a couple passing sidings right here and a couple, however many sidings I can put in between a big loop of track right here. And that'll be my like a staging yard of sorts, and it'll be split from the main layout. I want to put an overpass right there, so everything on this side won't be scenery. It's just going to be like the passing siding, and everything on this side is actually going to be layout with scenery. And then still want to put like my little town right here with a couple of industries and the mountain, and make a big loop and then disappear behind the backdrop. And on the other side you'd have a town with a couple industries, and right here I put a mountain, so it'd go into a tunnel and behind some buildings, pop out underneath the overpass. And I think that's what I want. And I'm actually going to try to model something. I'm basically going to run whatever I want whenever I want it still, but I'm actually going to give it a theme. It's kind of going to be like a spur off the, like an Erie Lackawanna or something. And the concept is that for 2 passing sidings, we're going to represent town A and B, plus whatever's in the sidings back there. So we'd come from town A, this town, the service that go around, service the town on the other side, and disappear back. And the other side would be town B, or city, whatever. And it's just going to be like servicing small town locals kind of thing. So small trains, which is great, which would benefit me because I want to do DCC and sound up there, and those are expensive. And if all I'm doing is like a spur with some local traffic, then I don't need big mainline engines. I just need like some switchers and like little GPs, older GPs or whatever. Just whatever they throw on like a siding, but basically base it off the Erie Lackawanna and like the late 60s, early 70s is when they started to make their comeback before things went downhill. So I'm not too familiar with the Erie Lackawanna's history. I know they started out with a couple good years and then had some bad years, and Norfolk and Western bottom out, and they slowly started turning around, and then in the early 70s things just went to crap. So I'll put it base it in the good times in the like the late 60s, early 70s. But yeah, it'll give me something to focus on. I've also decided that instead of, I'm not 100% sure because I'm never 100% sure until I'm actually doing it. But I've also decided to go with I think I've decided to go with Kato track instead of a Handlang Flex. Mostly just because I hated every second of doing the ballast. And I'm sure it'll probably be easier with actual track on roadbed. But I hated every second of that. I think it would look better overall if I did it right. But the Kato track looks good enough. It would serve my purposes of just getting things done. And like I said, I didn't enjoy ballasting that track. And if I don't enjoy it, I'm not going to do it. So it's just going to linger. So I think that's about it. All I have for now. If I think anything else, I'll throw it into the end of the video.